Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a January 23rd edition of the MSP Initiative, MSP Talk. It is almost the end of January. Got one more week, and the first month of 2025 will be in the books. Some housekeeping. Beginning of the year, so I'm not going to go there if you're watching on the video portion of this, but mspinitiative.com. You'll find everything that we do there, including recorded versions of these podcast sessions. Just go back to 2020. All of our upcoming events, which, we're still formalizing some of them. So we'll be talking about them as they become live, including block parties and conferences and stuff like that. But you find all of that at mspinitiative.com, including, and we constantly update this as we, get more and more people putting stuff online, but a industry-wide calendar of everything that's going on out there. You find that in the upper right-hand corner of mspinitiative.com, and there you go. Once you learn how to spell initiative, put MSP in front of it, add .com, press enter. Ta-da! You will find our page. So today we bring on for the first time, I'm pretty sure this is his first time on here, Mr. Ryan Denning. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Although I kept on saying you're a Houston guy, but really San Antonio.
Yeah, San Antonio.
Right.
Texas is funny, each city is their own thing.
Yeah. Well, cities are a thing, but apparently cities that are now under snow.
Yeah. Yeah, it snowed here. I think I brought it back from upstate New York with me. Everything shut down, school was canceled, businesses said, don't come in. Yeah. No, we don't know how to handle that stuff.
Did the electric bill go up 4,000% like last time this happened down there?
No, there were no power outages this time, as far as I know.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. Well, as I always do with anyone that's never been on here, I love to give people some time to talk about their, journey through, technology land. Like, how did you start and how did you get where you're at now? That way people can, figure out your story before we get into the topics of the day.
Oh man. So well, back when the dinosaurs roamed the earth,
Is that
I
before or after
was
Fred Flintstone? No.
yeah. No, I was an MSP, that's how I kind of started. I have a security background originally. I worked for MSP here in San Antonio that brought me in to grow their managed service business and to also kind of build a security stack called Computer Solutions here in San Antonio. They're still around. They're doing great. And yeah, so fast forward, I built the security stack. We grew the MSP quite a bit. And part of my security stack back in the day, there was this brand new product called Huntress that had just kind of come on the scene. I kind of understood early on how they were approaching, hacking and finding the bad guys, and really just loved the technology. So long story short, Kyle, Chris, and John brought me on to lead their sales in the channel and kind of take them to market, which I did. Successfully, obviously. And yeah, so that's how I kind of ended up on this side of it. Another company was at for quite some time. I led their sales initiative, was Blackpoint Cyber. Also amazing tech. And most recently kind of went to a different side of things, but helped grow Crewwho, which is employee recognition rewards. And yeah, so that's kind of my journey. It's been, gosh, 15 years plus. But just love the channel, love MSPs, that's why we're all here, right? It's an amazing community, amazing entrepreneurs, inspiring, and now I'm happy to be a Bvoip, very happy. It's a tremendous opportunity, and I'm just loving the things that Bvoip and OneStream can do for an MSP and how easy it is, and getting that word out and showing everybody kind of what that's about. It's exciting time.
That's awesome. Well, new administration rolled in just 3 days ago. They announced some outrageous, like it was like $500 billion investment in Project Stargate. I don't know if you watched the show Stargate. I watched it.
I watched Stargate.
I
Oh
was a
yeah.
Stargate guy. I watched all of it. Yeah, even Atlantis, SG-1. I watched it all. So it's funny that they use that as the name of their program. But $500 billion into it seems like the infrastructure to fast forward AI. Along with that, they changed all of the restrictions that were put in place by the last administration, like, so to kind of press the gas pedal down, from what I understand. Um, so I want to take your opinion as a guy that's been in the sandbox for some time. A lot of shiny new toys come in all the time. I've been harping about this because everybody seems to put AI in their domain names now for some reason. Not saying that new tech and bleeding edge isn't there. Like I think we all drink that Kool-Aid in MSP land for sure. But I've also seen a lot of people buy a lot of stuff and never turn it on, or never get to the point where they were confident enough in it to do the job. Over the last couple of episodes, we've had multiple ideas around. It seems like over time, and you've been in the sandbox this whole time. It's what you just told us, but like first they tried to outsource the frontline worker to overseas, right? And like, remember, you used to call Dell, and sometimes that didn't go so well. And then they tried to insource it, right? They brought that back to the shores, not your people, but domestic, right? Here, at least in the US. And now it seems they're trying to automate that and just replace it with the computer. Not sure any of that goes well, for whatever it's worth, but I would love to hear your opinion on, why is it that nobody's really figured out the answer here? Or maybe the answer is don't take everybody as a customer. I don't know. But why can the MSP not profitably solve the front line?
Man, that's a big question. I think there was definitely a time where, there was that bright new shiny object, and I was guilty of that too when I ran my MSP. When I was there, we would kind of be like, "Oh, we got to look at this, we got to look at that." And yeah, you would get it, and then you wouldn't fully implement it, or you partially implement it but never kind of use its full functionality. And I think in a lot of ways, MSPs have matured away from that kind of model. I don't think they're doing it quite as much as they used to. But as far as fixing that kind of that frontline problem, it's pretty crazy. Like recently, I dumped a bunch of data into Chat GPT, and it basically created a webinar with the information, and it even had like voices, and it sounded like a real webinar. It was kind of freaky though. Like you could tell it was too polished, and it like came across really well. But the ability to be able to do that and get that webinar out, and the content was wonderful, and it had the voice. I mean, it was crazy. I sent that to some of my guys, and they listened to it and were even like, "Ryan, is was that AI?" I'm like, "Yeah, it was." So I think you know it's definitely useful and it's got its points, but is it going to be able? I mean, just look at like Amazon now. Like, let's say you need to get support in Amazon, and you go into Amazon and like you're chatting, and it's definitely an AI bot. It's I don't know that it's ever going to be good enough to replace a person, because at some point you want that human relationship, that human
Mhm.
touch, and I don't think you'll ever get rid of it. At least for me, I like talking to people. I'll pick up the phone. Um, I like that interaction better.
Okay. So let me ask you this. A couple of times in the last couple of weeks, we've thrown out the concept of a premium lane, right? It's like the Disney fast lane, the Easy Pass lane up here, and the Tundra Land, where you don't want to, you want to go on the I don't want to stop for tolls lane, or in other parts of the country, it's the carpool lane, right? That kind of thing. But bottom line is, would you find, and again, maybe not everybody takes this option, but instead of everybody trying to lower their bottom line, their floor price, what if it's, hey, do you want someone to take your call? Then you need to pay for that. And if you want a good experience, then that's what it's going to take. Because like I was talking to an end customer not long ago of an MSP, and my position to them was, hey, the six-figure technologist that works for the people that you're trying to help run your business kind of get bored doing password resets. But if you're willing to pay them for that and they're happily able to take your money doing it, it may be okay. But here's where the disconnect is, where you're unwilling to pay for it, but you expect that person to answer your call every time.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think that's a real thing. People they expect the world, but they don't always want to pay for it.
Yeah.
And status is a thing. I mean, look at what the airlines do, You've got I mean, it's funny. The plane still gets to the place at the same time, whether you're in the front of the plane or the back of the plane. You're still gonna get there. Now, there's difference in like service, and I understand that. I get that piece, but if you just take like the status lanes, for example, right? You got TSA, you got TSA pre-check, you got clear, you got like the normal line. I've seen people stand in the TSA like clear line because they pay for it, even though it's longer than like the normal line where there's nobody standing in that line, but they'll stand in the one that they paid for because of the status thing. So I think that's kind of funny and interesting. I just go in whatever lane is the shortest lane. But
I'm with you.
yeah,
I hear what
but
you're saying.
yeah, that's a thing, right? So maybe we set up something like a status for your MSP. I don't know if that would work or not, but it'd be like, oh, I'm gold with my provider, so I can talk to a human on the phone. I'm silver, so I have to use the AI bot. And then, bronze, it's just like yeah, a phone tree. Press 3, press 2, press 1.
and never get anywhere.
Yeah.
Or get to your calls being disconnected. I'll say this. Yeah, your TSA analogy might be different for me, but yeah, I get what you're saying there. Airplane, if it gets there, if the plane actually leaves, yeah, you'll get there at the same time
Yeah.
as everyone else, right? It'll be interesting to see. Like, I'm not even jumping so far into the future, right? Not going Star Trek on you, Star Wars, right? Stargate. How about like just 3 years from now? I think that a lot of people who play in this realm could get burned. That's just, I mean, listen, it could absolutely be a home run, but it could also crush your relationship and your perception versus customer expectation, kind of balancing act. Like I think one of the reasons, and maybe your opinion's different, you'll tell me, that the MSP business is largely regionalized is because once you try and nationalize it, you lose the relationship part, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a regional thing. We were joking about Texas cities earlier, but I'll tell you, having lived in Texas and done business here a long time, for a company that was based in Dallas, right? They like to do business with Dallas. Dallas does. And Houston likes to do business with Houston, and San Antonio and Austin. We kind of trade back and forth. We're real close. But yeah, it's definitely like that. And I think you can do that and you can manage it pretty well. But as you start to go too far out, you lose kind of that relationship, like you were saying, that kind of that local touch, right? Different customs, different cultures, all of that thing starts to play in. And yeah, you can try and cast a wide net. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think people want that, interaction. Like you said earlier, that the Dell analogy, like that didn't work for very long. and they had to switch it. So yeah, they might try this for a little while and then come to realize like, hey, that service delivery experience, that customer journey, you're sacrificing a little bit on that side of things to, do it cheaper, do it automated. So you kind of got to juggle that. But I think still in the end, people like to have that relationship with people.
Oh, I agree. Did you hear? I think this past week, Verizon announced they were like adding a per line increase to a lot of their plans. And you go on all the forums. It's funny. It's not just MSP land that has the Discords and the Reddits and the Facebooks and all this, whatever. So does everybody else. And I just happened to pop in there, and I was like, "Oh, it's not going so good in here." But they're, Verizon's like, "Hey, we're the big dog. We're at the top. This is what it is. If you don't like it, go somewhere else." I guess when you're the guy at the top of the food chain, you can play that game, right? But I feel like a lot of MSPs feel like, there's 5 MSPs trying to steal their one customer from out from underneath them. I don't know if that's true, but the perception is that that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, plus you get locked into those contracts with those guys, so Verizon knows like, hey, you can't go anywhere. I gotcha for a couple more years until you pay off your device or you got this. So yeah, I mean, I think you see all these new commercials for like mobile phone companies now, like you've never heard of before, popping up. Like if you watch football, there was one like last week. I'm like, who is that? I've never even heard of those guys before. But it's like $20 a line. Bring any phone you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. Um, in my opinion, I think that you know you can run a profitable MSP and you can pay your people well if you're willing to force a standard. And when I say standard, this is Matt Lee security standard, although that's a thing. This is like, hey, I want to sell you a premium service, and if you want to buy a premium service, I can do that for you. Otherwise, I'm good. There's a lot of other people out there that'll take your money and do less. The problem is, for some reason, people view lawyers and doctors and architects and accountants differently than IT specialists, and they'll pay a premium for those people, but not these people. And I never understood that disconnect.
Yeah, and I'm sure you've had to go through this too, George. It's like you're having those QBR meetings or you're meeting with your customer and they're like, hey, I only opened 3 tickets last month. Like I'm paying you a lot of money. And you have to have that weird, uncomfortable conversation where you're just like, yeah, because
It's
I got
working.
you optimized. It's working. You had no downtime. That's a
Mm-hmm.
good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks. And it's funny where um the customer in the end is the one that pays a lot of money when they switch service providers, right? Because they got to go through, everybody's using something different, constantly reinstalling different versions of the same thing. And then if they don't like it, they do it all over again. And by the time it's done, it's like you spent a lot of money moving around to get what? It's like, no offense to the people, like, I usually don't lease cars, right? I'm a buy car guy. But if you buy a car and then sell it before, you thought you were going to, you get really not, it's not good financially.
Oh, no, it's not. Yeah. I mean, it drops in value the moment you drive it off the lot, like instantly. For sure.
So like, if you bought a car and you thought you were gonna, pay it off over 5 years on a loan, and 2 years in, you're like, I hate this car, I want another car. It's not good for you. Like it ends up being upside down.
Yeah.
So same with service providers. It's expensive to move your ERP system, right? So if you're using Salesforce, you want to move to HubSpot, that's expensive move. You want to move from one MSP to another MSP, that's an expensive move. You want to move from one electronic health record to another electronic health record, that's an expensive move. So why do MSPs move PSA so often, and RMMs and security tools? Like, what's the deal?
Yeah, I think that there's pain there, right? And it's like the pain of the, moving is not as painful as staying And so they go, all right, we're going to go through this. I recently was insurance shopping.
Mm-hmm.
So I have 3 kids, wife, an RV and a motorcycle. And so anyways, needless to say, they're all on
Not
my
the jet
insurance.
skis.
No jet
Okay.
skis.
All right.
So but yeah, they there's a lot of insurance. So I was actually looking and shopping this recently just to see, like, you want to do that every once in a while, like, hey, am I paying too much for this?
Mm-hmm.
Um and I was looking at moving my insurance. That ended up being not worth, like, it's tough. It's hard to switch, right? You've got all the premiums and the payments that you have to down pay to like make the move, and then you've got to make sure all the policies switch over. It's like a process. Like, it's not easy to do.
Yeah. But I feel like MSPs, maybe not the mature ones, but the guys who are less than the big boats that can't move very fast, like new toy. Like I just talked to somebody literally yesterday in Orlando. He's like, oh, I'm on my, I've tried this vendor, this vendor, this vendor, this vendor. I was like, so when do you stop moving? Like just your time to move over and over. Like, what didn't you like 5 vendors deep that you're still looking?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, so I'm curious, right? There is a little bit of I don't know if you saw the Jay McBain Canales, like the ConnectWise moved down in the chart for PSA RMM, Kaseya, Datto moved up, right? They took the top spot, and then they kind of showed the rest of the guys in the list. There's Ninja and Halo and all these other guys. So there definitely is a shift happening right now, right? On those like core I call them foundational products, right? PSA, RMM, documentation, that kind of thing. From products that have been in their categories for a decade at least, maybe more. Um, so like now you have all of that data, right? That doesn't necessarily move in between these systems. Now keep in mind, this is the MSP's backend system. It's not necessarily customer facing. Maybe the portal changes that the customer has to interact with or whatever, but like them, the customer, the customer of the MSP is not really in the middle of this. It's the MSP's internal movement here. I think part of the problem is I've run into a lot of people who back to the comment I made earlier, they bought a tool at a trade show. They never actually fully implemented it, and we're already moving to another vendor. So
Yeah.
like, what's
Yeah.
up?
Yeah. I mean, well, first thing that pops in my mind is like Halo, you know, um, major shifts from, the traditional kind of, we're ConnectWise. Oh, we're, Kaseya, and they're like, no, no, we're moving to Halo. So, it goes to show you, like, you can definitely have somebody new come on the scene and make big enough splash or big enough noise to get people to shift over. But yeah, I mean, that's funny. That just sounds very MSP, right? We didn't fully implement it, but we're moving to another tool. Right?
I mean, it seems silly to me, but I totally, listen. Is it good advertising? Is it good marketing? Is it just word of mouth? Is it influencers? What forces that? Is it all of it? What do you see? Uh-oh. Did I freeze or did Ryan freeze there?
Looks like we lost you there for a second, George.
All right, I'm back. I'm back. Yeah. So last thing I said was, so what moves that needle? Is it influencers? Is it really good marketing? Is it people just getting paid to move? Is it the Xbox controller that they send you in the mail? What gets these people moving?
I think it's a combination of all of those things at some level, right? It's not always just one. There's always like the new shiny object, the slick marketing, the fancy uh I don't know, giveaways, doodads kind of attract people over there, right? but there's also got to be a need, so it's probably a little of all of those things, I would say.
Okay. What, so now I'm going to flip over to the other side. So you've been an MSP, you've sold to MSPs. What's the best marketing promotion that you can remember?
The best marketing promotion. So, you know, um, one that I've always really liked, and it's actually not from the channel, but I always like admired the marketing quite a bit. I thought it was kind of really slick. Have you ever heard of Dr. Squatch?
No, I don't think so.
All right. So it's soap. It's soap for dudes. It's like man soap. And
Dude,
they
so
they have other things, but their ads and like they did these like really funny kind of tongue in cheek. I call it kind of like guerrilla marketing videos. Um, I thought, I mean, that it just worked really well.
hmm,
It got my attention and a lot of other people that I know that were like, "Oh, have you seen this?"
hmm,
Um, it works really well. And so, if you get a sec, you can YouTube the old like Dr. Squatch commercials. They're really funny. But they had a really cool marketing. And I thought that they stood. I mean, now they sell it at Walmart, Target. Like you can get the Squatch stuff everywhere now. But they kind of came on and had a, hey, we're gonna get in front of you, we're gonna show you in a different way, and I thought it worked
hmm.
really well.
They didn't get they weren't on Shark Tank, right?
I don't think they went on Shark Tank. No.
Wow. Okay. They guerrilla marketed their way to the shelf.
Yeah, it was a little bit like sarcastic-y, kind of like, not traditional, kind of in your face, might have upset a couple of people potentially,
Hmm.
but uh it was really clever what they did. So in recent years I'm like, yeah, kind of step outside that and be a little you know different with your marketing to stand out, because it's really easy to market the way everyone else does. But if you could do it clever and it's effective, right, at the end of the day you've got to have the results from it. But like I said, I was impressed with that, how they kind of came on. And I mean, you're talking about soap. It's like a thing that's been around forever, right? How is your soap better than other soaps, or how do you get people to look at that, right?
Hmm.
They did a good job. Whoever they got to do their marketing was kind of genius, in my opinion.
That's interesting. Sarcastic marketing. I could work. I could work. What's your opinion on the I mean, I always thought some of the most creative commercials are the fast food commercials. Like I'm a Chick-fil-A guy. I think a lot of people know that about me. Eat more chicken and it's the cow, right?
Yeah, those are good.
Or the Burger King.
He's scary. There's just something wrong with that guy. The Burger King. I don't. You don't see him so much anymore, and I think that's a good thing. That was just like he was kind of weird, man.
What about Ronald McDonald? He was around for a while. And his
Yeah,
buddies, the Hamburglar and all that
the
other stuff.
Hamburglar, man. I haven't thought of those in so long, since I was like a kid. But when a kid, you knew all the characters, right?
Well, not just that. If you were talking about kid stuff, I mean, I mean, I feel like I don't see them as much anymore, but the cereal commercials were good.
Well, yeah, they used to have Saturday morning cartoons, right? So you would be sitting there and they would get you with all of those. You just don't see that as much anymore, but
Yeah, I remember Fruit Loops and Kicks or what was it? Sorry,
Lucky Charms.
yeah, Lucky Charms, right? Captain Crunch.
Yeah,
And then what about the jingle? Does the jingle still work?
I think the jingle works.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
As much as I hate the Burger King jingle, like when you watch football on Sundays and stuff, and they got that it's like it's not even good, but it's like it sticks.
That guy's doing pretty good, I think, in the bank account.
Yeah,
That was the Burger King jingle. Uh, what about mascots? Is
mascots.
that a thing that works in MSP land? Like I see tigers and foxes and cheetahs and.
Well, you remember in the older days, I'm aging myself here a little bit, but remember the LabTech robot?
Oh yeah, I still have lap tech robot
He would
shirts.
go out there and like break dance and I think that worked.
Okay, so you're down with the mascot.
I think if it's done well, the like the cyber fox, right? He walks around, everyone's like, oh, there's the fox.
But it felt like everybody went with the animal mascot. Like I remember the Connect Booster Rooster. Did you catch that one?
No, I missed that
You
one.
missed it? Yeah. I was like,
Connect booster
Rooster?
rooster.
Okay. All right.
Uh
I was like, I think it was like a short stint, 2-year run.
yeah, back in the day there was a D-Link had a mascot named Hubby. It was a hub and it was like a stuffed hub with a face on it, and he would walk around and pass out shots of Patron. It was pretty funny.
Wow, it's an expensive mascot.
That worked.
Well, if that, I mean, we don't need a mascot. We already got a guy that can do that.
Yeah.
All right. So you're down with the mascot. All right. So you said so a
But
lot of
ConnectWise has
different.
the owls, right? Remember they brought
I
the
remember
owl
the
to IT
owl. I
Nation?
remember the owl. I
Yeah.
mean, listen, the NFL teams all seem to have a mascot. Mr. We got an eagle mascot over here called Swoop.
What's the Eagles' name?
Swoop,
Swoop.
because he
I saw
flies around.
him the playoff. They had him like flying around there. That was
Well,
cool.
that was an actual eagle though.
Yeah, I
I
thought
don't know.
that
They
was
have
Swoop.
they have a guy in like a cartoon version of that.
Oh,
I mean, don't get me wrong. You have to admit, from an opening, TV view, you got the flag that's the entire field, and then you got the eagle flag. It's pretty good view, from a cinematic standpoint. I'm gonna pivot real quick. So did you know? So Jason Kelsey, I think everybody knows who he is. He's the other brother of the non-Taylor Swift variety, but I digress. We love him here in Philadelphia. The rest of you can have Travis. Even we know who Jen follows. It's fine. Um, he's doing this late night ESPN show for the playoffs, and so he did like a Price is Right thing. Do you want to guess what the cost is of the flag that the one that they hold that covers the entire field? Like, take a
oh my
guess how
gosh.
much that costs.
Oh my gosh, man. I wouldn't even know where to start. What 10 grand?
No, try again.
More?
More.
I mean, it's a whole football field.
It's a whole football field.
Man, maybe 25, 30.
Nope, still higher.
Jeez. All
Yeah,
right. 100?
45,000.
Okay, okay.
It's a
Yeah.
pretty expensive flag.
Yeah, that's an expensive flag. And they got a bunch of them, right?
So he did the rest of this segment. It was like a Price is Right segment. He's like, well, how much is one of those blocking sleds, and how much are the goalposts? And like, it was actually kind of comical because you never think about these things. You just expect that they're there. And I'm like, next time some college football team lets all the fans on the field, they knock down the goalpost. You know how much it costs to replace it?
Yeah.
Just saying. So we're still pretty early here in 2025. I always give everybody a chance to make some predictions. Like, what do you think happens this year in MSP land? They don't have to be bold. Some people have declined. Our buddy Kenny P's like, I don't make predictions. I was like, oh, okay, Ken, it's all good. We'll just drive on the bus, see where it gets us. But any bold predictions, prognostications for MSP land in 2025?
Man, I would keep my eye on ConnectWise. I think there's something's gonna happen there.
Okay. Like a sale, a merger,
They've got to
IPO.
make a move.
They got to
They're
make a
gonna
move.
do something.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It gives us a category. It's not very clear, but it gives us a category.
Yeah. It's like a psychic, right? I'm gonna keep it really general so that I can be right whatever happens.
Okay. All right. But something is gonna happen. All right, we're gonna write that one down. We'll circle back and see what happens there. Any other predictions?
No, I'll leave it at that one.
Okay. All right.
Okay. I
I
have a
again,
feeling like you know, um 1STREAM's probably gonna just blow up this year, but
Wow.
I'm biased.
I hear you. I hear you. The Bvoip 1STREAM. Yes. There's not a lot of competition for that one out there. What I asked our friend Brooke Lee, who's now over at Lion Guard. I said, what's your opinion of the bundling wars, right? Like, everybody's now done this super SKU that includes all of these things. You may or may not need it in order to kind of Office 365, all of the products that you need to run your MSP. Obviously, the Kaseya, Datto, Autotask, and the other 30 plus companies all roll up into one. And then you got ConnectWise, trying to do something similar, I hear. Then you have vendors that are working together to create a super bundle, like Halo Ninja came out with a super bundle that included, Sentinel One and a bunch of other things. How do you think that all, like, does that make a fundamental change in the sandbox on how things go?
Man, that's a good question, George. I feel like, there's a lot of points just around that, right? You've got some that are bundling together because you can develop it yourself. It takes time. There's the tech debt there. You gotta clean it up. You might get it halfway and not 100%. So, well, do I build it or do I buy it? Or do I partner with somebody that kind of completes what I'm trying to do, and we can partner and there's not a lot of overlap there, right? So it makes sense to, partner up to get the bundle versus trying to build the bundle yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got the other side to that, which is, hey, I bundled everything with this one company, but now I got all my eggs in one basket.
Mm-hmm.
That's not always a great thing either, because if they screw up or get it wrong, it's going to affect a lot of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot to it, and then at the end of the day, why bundle? Well, it usually has to do with, hey, it's more affordable if I bundle it this way. It's cheaper. It might not be as good as if I one-offed everything, which that has its downsides too sometimes as well. So there's a lot there. I think in the end,
But hold on before you even complete your thought. So you have the bundling wars over here. So you have like, I own it all. In the middle, I've partnered to create a bundle. But all the way over on the left side is I'm the marketplace. I got everybody that you care about kind of thing in here. You just buy what you like, Amazon edition. So
yeah,
like, it's almost like you almost have to decide what your business model is. It's starting to get to that point now.
yeah, I agree.
So from an MSP standpoint, you know, let's say and I that's where this is where I came from. I came from I picked the products that I liked in each category, best in class, that from my opinion that I could afford, or that I thought my customers were willing to pay for. So I want more of the, whether I bought it from a marketplace or I just sourced it from individual vendors, I pieced this whole thing together to now I'm going to dump them all. I'm going to go to a sole vendor who theoretically should be able to provide me better support, but I also put all my eggs in one basket. This is no different than Microsoft, right? It's like, hey, if I go to the highest possible SKU in Microsoft, I could maybe eliminate all of my vendors, just keep everything in Microsoft land. But like, now there's only, something, now it's all in one boat. If the boat
Yeah.
sinks, then a boat sinks.
Well, like, yeah, and I'll just pick on the security guys for a second, because I was one for a long time. Even back to, like, I'll just take like the next gen firewall days, like Checkpoint, Palo Alto, Fortinet. They were trying to basically take your security stack and build it all into one, right? We can do it all. You know, just making fun of Fortinet for a minute, because they called it Forta everything, right? They even had Forta phones for a while. But you put all your eggs in one basket. So if they screw up, and especially from a security standpoint, I mean, you're kind of screwed, because all your defenses are under that one, in that one basket.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's when I would say, hey, I get it. You could be cheaper by putting it all over here, but you're also kind of weakening your defenses. Like spread it around a little bit at least. So bundle wars, at the end of the day, it's cost savings, it's ease of doing business, but you kind of can't walk away from that. Hey, all my eggs are in that one basket, and my risk. I think you got to spread that risk out a little bit.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. So tell us a little bit more about what's going on now in your new gig, right? So, I know communications is an interesting topic. Most MSPs, I'd say like 50-50, right? Stay away from it. It's not our business. Like we do computers, not text, not phone, not messaging. And then you got the big chunk of the rest of the people were like, I'll sign up as a partner of a big company. Let's just call it Zoom, Teams phone, Ring Central. Whatever I can get from them, call it mailbox money, but hopefully I just point somebody in the direction they buy and I don't have to be in the middle of it. Although I don't think that ever actually happens. If you recommend something, you're always in the middle of it, whether you like it or not, especially if it's your customer, but I digress. But the PSAs and the RMMs and the ecosystems products never concentrated on communications either, right? Like from their stack standpoint, hey, listen, it's not the only category they never checkboxed either, right? There's a lot of other areas that, hell, half the vendors in the room plugged things that the big companies never built out themselves, right? But they never dealt, really handled communications from the MSP's point of view either, because a button that clicks to dial is not new. My Outlook from 1999 could do that. So why has this category been neglected for so long in MSP land?
Man, I think part of it is they kind of stay in their lane and they don't, what we're actually talking about. Well, it kind of, all right, there's two things. One, it goes back to kind of what we were talking about before, I feel like, which is you know, uh the customer experience, right? Having the good customer experience, right? And if you think about it, a lot of that is communication, right? You have to have excellent communication. You have to be able to be communicated to easily by your customer, right? um and so you've got kind of that side of things, and then you've also got the ease of doing that, right? It's not just about the phones anymore. It's about how that integrates in with all of my other stuff. And so yeah, you can start out just making the phone dial and or ring, but at the end of the day, the ease of that and making and the end of the day, it translates to that customer experience, right? If I'm like an MSP and someone calls in, but I can have the ticket automatically pop up and I can have it talk to all my other systems, and I can easily allow my guys to verify that they're actually talking to the person that it says they are, right? We talked about AI too. I know you've heard the stories about the AI voices, and all of that. I read in the news well, it's not so recent now, but like USAA, for example, one of their employees got called by a guy who was not an employee of USAA, claiming to be the help desk, and gave him keys to the kingdom, you know, at least from that aspect, because they couldn't validate that, right? So just having all of that in one place, having it all easily accessible and automated, and you're bringing all these different things, but you're bringing them together in a way that makes sense, that makes it easy. That's communications.
So we're actually talking about two separate things. We're talking about here, you're talking about, hey, the MSP's experience, and, the tools that they use to run their business. What does their day-to-day look like? What is the customer experience they're delivering to their end customer? A little bit different from, hey, I just need the phone to ring.
Yeah.
So from your aspect, and listen, Salesforce didn't have an answer. Like a lot of these bigger companies outside of MSP land also kind of didn't pay attention to the communications category for some time. Has it just been slow to find our sandbox? I don't understand why it took so long to get here.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's one of those things that maybe we take for granted because we've had phones for so long, but they're not going away. I mean, we all carry them with us everywhere we go. We're constantly connected. The fact that it all talks to each other, it makes that easier. I feel like, yes, you make the phone ring. Yes, you could have somebody just pick up the phone and do it all manually. But if you could become operationally excellent, you could make that be really easy. And I'm talking about internally for an MSP. If you make your life easier, right, that's going to translate to the customer experience um, as well.
Okay, that's fair. Um, but then what happens when your customer raises their hand and says, "I just need the phone to ring"? I've heard a lot of MSPs try Teams phone and Zoom phone, and I think Ring Central just had a major outage yesterday. It's only January 23rd. So like, why are MSPs on the other side of the conversation either A, not doing it, or B, leaving the money on the table because there's they don't find it as a legitimate, profitable service to deliver, or maybe it's just they don't want to do with it because they don't think it's IT. They don't think it's technology, right? They just think it's something else.
Yeah, that's definitely part of it. I think there is some, in the short time that I've been over here, what I've noticed is it is very profitable. There are MSPs making a ton of money reselling phones. And I think part of it too is, it's been around for a long time. Are there innovations there? I know we have innovations there, but again, it's kind of old school and chasing the shiny object. What's the shiny object been for the last, I don't know, 8 years, right? It's security. So
AI is probably displaced it,
now it's AI, yeah. But
whatever that
um
means.
yeah, it's kind of shifted focus, right? I mean, if you can get breached, and it's gonna affect your business and your clients' businesses, right? That gets a lot more attention. So I think that shift has kind of been in there, but it's an interesting thing.
Yeah. Anytime I've ever seen the, surveys that, and a lot of the publications put them out on a regular, right? Like, what are you using for this category, that category, what vendors, this, that, and the other. When it comes to this category, it looks like 1,000 slices in the pie chart. Like, I don't even think Microsoft Teams phone or Zoom phone or has double digit percentages, to be honest. And what MSPs are using in this category. You know, it's very curious. I would say if you're running an MSP business and you haven't standardized on an ERP, we'll call them PSA in our industry, but a tool to run a business operating system to run your business, probably not doing it at a volume, right? But
Yeah.
if you made this investment in tools to run your business, I think the trade show circuit for a long time has been, well, we integrate into that tool, and that's what's gotten a lot of people swiping those credit cards, right?
Yep.
It's curious though that some of these tools get complicated and back to they get half implemented. How much effort needs to happen in order to connect all these dots though, right? Isn't that a
Yeah.
concern?
Yeah, I feel like some vendors get that better than others, right? Where the connecting of your tool into the other tools is a big heavy lift, and you got kind of the opposite side of that where it's like, oh, just drop that API key in here and boom, it works. So you've got kind of both sides of that, but I feel like the MSPs that I've spoken to recently that get it, right? I mean, the phones, it makes them sticky in their customers. And it's all kind of connected. you can bring it all in together and make it a part of it. But I was surprised a little bit, I gotta say, from just how much money is can be had just on the phone side of things. And I think people take it for granted, or kind of, it's not in forefront of their thoughts, but it's an area I feel like could definitely use more attention.
Interesting. All right. Well, so I think the key thing that you're putting out there seems to be integrated communication.
Yeah, integrated communications, absolutely. That
Hmm.
will translate over to a positive customer experience.
So when I say, if you're already on something like ConnectWise or Autotask, or I think you said Halo earlier, or what are the other ones in there? Synchro. Think of MSP tools that people are using today. Autotask. Am I missing any other big ones? It sounds
I
like,
mean,
are
that's,
those on your list?
yeah, I mean, those are on the list. Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Well, that's interesting. So if somebody wanted to find more information out about that, where would they go?
As from,
Yeah, just to get more information, figure out, what you guys are cooking up over there, talk to somebody.
oh, absolutely. They should, yeah, absolutely. You can go to bvoip.com. You can reach anybody. You know, feel free to reach out to me directly as well. Would would love to speak to you guys and just show you kind of how easy it is, and how helpful.
Awesome. So for the people that listen to this in audio format, it's Ryan, not anything crazy there. Normal spelling, and then last name Denning. So I'm sure you'll find him pretty easily out there in social media world and all the various feeds. Any predictions for the upcoming NFC AFC championship games this weekend?
Oh man, we're down to the last four, right? Personally, I would love to see the Bills kind of take the Chiefs out. I feel like the Chiefs have the referees on their payroll.
And Taylor Swift up in the booth.
Oh, well, my favorite thing to do is it's a drinking game. Every time they show Tay Tay on TV, you take a shot. Last
Interesting.
week, last weekend, it would have been 7 shots, in case anyone wants to know. Spread out. The first half they didn't show her as much, but that second half, man, it was like pew, pew, all the time. I would just like to
I
see that
wonder
every
if Jen plays that game.
time. Yeah. And I think the Eagles are going to take out the Commanders.
Jen says she doesn't watch. I'm surprised, Jen. The
Taylor
highlights on
Swift.
the
Oh, she
highlights
watched
on
the TikTok.
TikTok. There it is. Oh,
There
that's
it
right.
is.
We totally whiffed on the fact that they shut TikTok down for 12 hours and brought it back.
That's right.
All right. So you got the Eagles and the Bills in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Bourbon Street, watch out. That's two fan bases that are rowdy.
That for sure.
Let's hope that they can dig all the snow out of Bourbon Street so that there is somewhere to be rowdy. Yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy. Those pictures of New Orleans under snow, like it's a swamp. I mean, how does that even happen? It snows in a swamp.
I mean, it's there. I don't know where it's going, but it
Yeah.
definitely made the ground. All right, guys. Ryan, thanks for joining us. This session was recorded. We park it in the same place we park the rest of them, at mspinitiative.com under sessions. It'll be on YouTube and our podcatcher. So, consume on whatever platform fits you best. Sounds like you should check out bvoip.com or check out Ryan online and connect with him on whatever platform you can find him on. And circle back with us as we do these every week at mspinitiative.com. Thank you very much, Ryan. Catch you on the next one.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
All right, guys. See ya.
Bye, guys.